Hi everybody and welcome to Beyond Politics. Today we'll be talking about the financial status of South African citizens, and we're covering an article from the Daily Investor, and it paints a very bleak picture for what our situation is here in the country. And if you feel so inclined, please let us know in the comments, how are you doing financially? Better than last year, worse than last year, or better than the last few years? We'd love to know. Remember Cyril Ramaphosa, our dearest president, wants to increase the GDP growth by 3%? Is it 3%?
Yes, good.
However, it doesn't look like that's going to be possible, considering people who actually spend money in the economy as the citizens can't really afford anything anymore.
So the big problem is that South African households are in serious trouble, and this is based on Reserve Bank data, where they've looked at the percentage that people spend on actually paying back their loans. And they are just making more debt, getting more credit cards to then serve the other debt. So the cost of servicing debt has skyrocketed. And in this article, we'll give you a link in the description as well as first comment. You'll see a graph that tells a very, very bleak story. And the problem is because people are servicing more debt, they are not spending in the economy. So it's like a death spiral.
So the article is entitled South African Households in Serious Trouble. So it already starts with a negative kind of vibe. South African household debt as a share of disposable income continues to rise as the rising cost of living and high interest rate push many to take on debt to maintain their lifestyle or purchase necessities. Now, one of the worst things to becoming a self-reliant individual, meaning you don't rely on government or corporations for your mere survival, the worst thing you can do is get into debt for that, because you basically got your soul tied in a contract with some organization or the other. Well, that's how it feels. Doesn't
Well,
it?
the system was designed to control people so that you work day and night and not actually think about what government is doing to you and how many of your freedoms are taken away. If you have time to think, you would actually think differently, and maybe at the end of the day vote differently, actually get involved politically, because if you do not, we are not a democracy. And this is one of the big problems that we're sitting with, is more than half of the people did not take part in the last elections, those that are eligible. In fact, not those that are registered, more than half did not take part. Never mind the eligible voters, which means that people have lost faith in the system. But if you do not become active in driving change in government in whatever way, even if you don't vote, they stay in charge and they make themselves more and more powerful using your taxpayers' money, while you paying off debt to try and survive the circumstances they created because they don't know how to govern.
So, this debt burden comes with an increased debt servicing costs that now make up just less than 10% of household disposable income.
So that's servicing the debt.
I know it's expensive to have a credit card, for instance. So if people have numerous, I don't know how they cope.
Well, they're using more and more credit cards now.
Interest rates.
To
I
deal
mean,
with
has
things.
anyone, I know someone has commented before on a video that they just can't keep up with the interest rates. Is anyone else experiencing that?
And they speak about that in detail in this article.
Yeah.
And that the roll-on effect of increasing interest rates takes up to 6 months before you see it, the increased prices and how it's affecting people.
The problem is only set to get worse as credit card growth remains strong as consumers turn to debt to maintain their lifestyles amid rising prices. Now, if you're already in that cycle of debt and you're living off debt, I don't know how in an economy such as we have now, how one gets out of that easily without...
Because your income's not going to increase.
Without severe help from loved ones or a job increase or promotion, I don't know what.
We see many people living together at this stage, etc., to try and survive. Renting together, breaking their rental lease agreements to just get by. And I think many of the people that lease their properties actually don't care at this stage. They just like the fact that they're getting income from their assets. This is the kicker.
Okay, firstly, this took household debt as a share of disposable income to 62.2%, up marginally from 62.1% in the previous quarter. So in the previous quarter was already high.
So that's disposable income. So if you've already paid your car and your house, of the money that's left, people are paying more than half of that towards debt. 62.2%. It hasn't improved. It has gotten worse. Maybe not by a lot, by just 0.1%, but it's not getting better. And as Dawie Rood said, our economy is not going to grow by more than 1%, if we're lucky. So Cyril Ramaphosa's daydream, and we'll hear from him today at the Sona, of 3%. He says it's just not going to happen. Because you have to look at the facts.
I really had to stop myself from eye rolling at the thought of Sona. Anyway, I actually don't understand. We don't have debt. Luckily, we are privileged that we could pay off our old second-hand cars, which have endless problems, which I can list right now, but I'll spare you the boring details. But they're paid for at least, and they work. They get us from A to B. But I remember when we were paying it off. It's like a punch in the gut every month when the debit order comes off. I don't understand how people are paying debt like this and also insurance. We haven't had insurance for over a decade, if not longer, and won't.
Out of choice.
Out of principle, more than anything. So if any one of us gets severely sick, it's us in the state hospitals. But anyway, it's a decision we've made and will continue to do. But I know that there are people that pay a large portion of their salaries to insurance, then obviously some to debt. How on earth do they eat in an economy like this where food prices have just gone crazily up? I don't understand. Let us know in the comments how you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see your comments on your situation. And they speak here about home loans and how over the last 2 years people's payments have gone up. On a 1.5 million rand home loan, which is fairly average in Cape Town, it's a very small little hockey.
1.5 million home loan in Cape Town is tiny.
It's tiny.
It's probably a one-bedroom.
But those people are paying extra 4,600 rand a month on that home loan.
So you probably would have started off probably
massive.
2 years ago paying around 9,000. Now you're paying a lot more, almost 5,000 rand more. So you're paying about 14,000. No one really ever budgets for that when you get a home loan.
I think it's more than that, in fact. I think it's probably 16, yeah.
Probably. That's insane. I feel very sorry for people that are paying off bonds. We are caught in a system that is pitted against the free sovereign being. We have governments and corporations literally conspiring to suck out every little bit of resource from us. And that resource, it looks like money, but it's actually our time.
Yeah.
And it's a very sad situation. That's why I believe in system change. I believe in South Africa we can do something different, where people can find fulfillment and purpose.
And it is to keep people busy. What you say is absolutely true. That people need to be kept busy so that they don't figure out what is actually happening to them. And Yuval Noah Harari has actually spoken about that. Yuval Noah Harari said that people need to be kept busy playing computer games or whatever. And he's not saying he wants to do that.
Or we'll revolt or something.
People would revolt if they actually...
That's why the work week is 5 days of work, 2 days of weekend. If weekend was any longer in a country where there's more poverty, by the third day people will start getting very annoyed with the situation. And so it's very imperative for the status quo to be maintained, that society is set up exactly how it is.
How it is right
And
now.
how we are all as individuals, we are customers. We are geared towards consumerism. Everything around us is about consuming, spending our money, parting with our cash.
And government is using our taxpayers' money to put that system in place, to impoverish you, to make sure that you work day and night, many people extra jobs, many people long shifts, many people having to work overtime to just survive in the economy.
And land expropriation without compensation, the way it's been set up, and we'll still discuss that probably tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Unfortunately, it's going to actually make it harder for private property ownership. It's going to make it harder for private property ownership to be accessible to more people. And that is going to be what is the last death blow to freedom at the end of the day. And I think that the government is very well aware of what they're doing.
Yeah, and we'll tie in how the agricultural minister, which a lot of people might not find surprising anymore, seeing that people are dropping the DA like a bag of potatoes, hot potatoes, is actually planning on telling farmers what they can farm, what they should be farming, and even putting things in place so that they can decide what land should be expropriated. So look out for that video tomorrow.
Just a little preview.
But tell us in the comments, how is your household doing? How are you surviving? Do you have burdening debt that's tying you down? And we're not talking here, and we've covered this before, how many sheriffs are standing at the door ready to repossess people's belongings.
I fully think that should be unconstitutional. It should be illegal for that to happen.
There should be a way. Banks are bailed out by governments in tough economic times, but the citizens not. Think about what is happening, and you can go and join the Facebook group Independent Living, saying goodbye to government and corporate control, because that's exactly what it is.
Yep. And just to end, the bank said vehicle sales have also taken a significant hit due to interest rates remaining at a 15-year highs for over a year. So read the whole article. It'll be in the description and also in the first comment of this video. very enlightening, and yeah.
It's short, so please make an effort to read through it and tell us in the comments, how are you doing?